A metallic gold Lamborghini rolled onto Maple Street, a lane so narrow that goats sometimes napped in the middle. Children dropped their homemade football, eyes wide. Mr. Okuro, the barber, poked his head out of his kiosk, razor still buzzing. The car door lifted up. Out stepped Tiffany Carter, heels clicking, silk dress shining like morning dew. A diamond bracelet winked on her wrist. For half a heartbeat, the street fell silent. Then every voice exploded at once. Is that Tiffany? She left with one suitcase. Look at that car. Tiffany's eyes, hidden behind big sunglasses, swept past the murmuring crowd until they landed on one figure. Helen Carter, gray scarf tied loosely, broom in hand. Tears blurred Tiffany's vision. She hurried forward. Mama! The sunglasses flew off as Tiffany wrapped her arms around the older woman. Helen's frail hands touched her daughter's glossy hair. My child, Helen whispered, voice breaking. I knew you'd shine, but not like the sun itself. Tiffany laughed through tears. I came straight from the airport. First stop had to be home. Cameras from curious neighbors clicked. The golden bracelet glinted, but everyone could see it was the embrace, not the jewelry, that made Tiffany glow. And in a single breath, the crowd watched a billionaire's glamour melt into the humble love of a mother and daughter. Flashback, roots of kindness. A bridge in the rain. 20 years earlier, thunder cracked above Riverside Bridge. Floodwater licked the footpath. Helen Carter, then a cleaner in town, spotted a shaking bundle behind the church wall. A little girl, soaked, knees hugged her chest. Sweetheart, where's your mama? Helen asked, kneeling despite the mud. No answer, just big, frightened eyes. Helen took off her only coat and wrapped it around the child. We'll find warm soup, okay? Without hesitating, she carried the girl home. That girl was Tiffany, a new mother. Neighbors whispered. Helen can barely feed herself. But when the social worker visited, Helen's reply was firm. God gave me two hands. They can hold one more spoon and one more heart. She painted their leaky ceiling at night, took extra laundry by day, and taught Tiffany 3 rules. Kindness costs nothing but returns plenty. Education is the bridge out of poverty. Never despise small beginnings. Growing up, by 16, Tiffany polished shoes at the bus park after school, saved every naira for books, and brought dinner to shut-in neighbors. When Mr. Ajayi's stall burned, she organized a small fundraiser with recycled jars, collecting pennies and hope. Why help? Her friend Kim asked. You're not rich. Tiffany smiled. Someday I'll have more. If I don't give with little, I won't give with plenty. Journey to the city, age 21. Now that she is of age, Tiffany decided to move to the city in search of better life. The day of departure, Helen packed gari, groundnut stew, and a well-worn Bible into Tiffany's box. At the dusty bus station, she cupped her daughter's face. City lights are bright, but some hearts are dark. Remember your rules. I will, Mama. Tiffany squeezed her hand. One day I'll buy you a real house with a blue roof. The bus hissed away, and Helen waved until it vanished behind billboards. First impressions. Lagos greeted Tiffany with honking Danfo buses and skyscrapers that scratched the clouds. She rented a single room in Mr. Edwards' moldy compound, paint peeling, kitchen shared with 8 tenants. Mr. Edwards, belly protruding, eyed Tiffany's curves and said, "Rent is $50,000 up front, unless you have other ways to pay." Tiffany ignored the suggestion, counted her savings, and stood tall. "I pay the honest way, sir." That night, she answered newspaper ad. Housemaid needed. High standards. Apply in person. Reynolds Estate, Banana Island. Reynolds Estate, doors of marble, heart of ice. The interview. Tiffany arrived at the mansion gates in a faded blouse, CV neatly folded. Inside, chandeliers sparkled like frozen fireworks. Mr. Reynolds, tall, silver-haired, expression carved from granite, studied her. "You have no hospitality degree," he noted. "I learn fast, sir, and I respect every living soul," she replied. Behind her stood Sasha Green, another applicant. Thin smile, eyes that measured instead of admired. Mr. Reynolds shrugged. "Trial month. Fail, and you're out." First weeks in the mansion. Tiffany Carter had imagined marble floors before, but she had never walked them with a bucket and mop in hand. On her very first morning at Mr. Reynolds' mansion, she paused just inside the foyer, took a steadying breath, and reminded herself, small beginnings build strong bridges. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Larson, gave a brisk tour. Library, ballroom, indoor garden. Dust twice daily, polish once a week. Mr. Reynolds likes everything fingerprint-free. Tiffany nodded, soaking in every word. She kept her eyes down, yet her mind darted everywhere, counting steps between doors, memorizing where each light switch hid behind silk curtains. By noon, she already knew the staff elevator creaked 1 second before it arrived, and that the guard dogs calmed if she hummed a lullaby. Lunch break meant 10 quiet minutes at the back patio. Most workers scrolled their phones. Tiffany studied the ocean view, then sent a short text to Helen. Got the job. I'm safe. Love you. Earning respect. During her first week, she polished silverware until her shoulders ached and arranged fresh roses the way she'd seen on hotel channels. When elderly butler Mr. Granger inspected the dining table, he tilted his head. Miss Carter, these napkin swans almost look alive. Tiffany smiled. Swans remind me of hope. White, gentle, but strong enough to fly across storms. He chuckled. Keep folding hope across this house, and you'll do well. Even Mr. Reynolds noticed. One evening he passed through the hallway, just after Tiffany had finished buffing the floor. He glanced at their reflection in the shiny marble. Smoother than last month, he murmured, offering the nearest thing to praise anyone had heard. Tiffany dipped a curtsy, heart thudding. The wrong kind of attention. Not everyone admired her work for the right reasons. Roy, a senior driver with flashy sunglasses and cologne that arrived before he did, began lingering near the storage closet when Tiffany fetched supplies. Need help carrying that, pretty lady? He asked one afternoon, leaning too close. I'm fine, sir, she replied, stepping back. The next day, he cornered her beside the garage sink. You clean cars too? Or just rooms? Maybe I could take you for a spin after hours. His hand brushed her waist. Tiffany froze, a drop of soapy water sliding from her glove. Rule 1, kindness. Rule 2, protect dignity. Firm but calm, she said, please remove your hand. I'm here to work, nothing else. She slipped past him and hurried toward the servants' corridor. Her knees shook, but she kept walking until she reached Mrs. Larson's office. Standing up, Mrs. Larson listened jaw tight. You're sure it was Roy? Yes, ma'am. Twice. Good. We document this properly. Within the hour, Tiffany repeated her story to Mr. Granger and Security Chief Malik. Malik checked camera footage near the garage. The angle didn't catch Roy's hand, but his looming posture was clear. They brought Roy to the small conference room. Tiffany sat opposite, hands clasped. Roy laughed. Come on, sweetheart. We were joking. Tiffany met his gaze. A joke requires two people laughing. I wasn't. Mr. Reynolds entered without announcement, dark suit, colder eyes. He listened, no interruptions, then asked one question. Tiffany, do you feel safe working here if Roy remains? She swallowed. No, sir. Mr. Reynolds turned to Roy. Hand in your badge. Security will escort you out. Roy's bravado crumbled. Sir, 5 years I've driven you. 5 years of trust lost in 30 seconds, Mr. Reynolds said, voice like clipped steel. Go. Roy left, grumbling. The door's click felt like thunder. Tiffany exhaled shakily. Mr. Reynolds fixed his gaze on her. This house stands on rules. Anyone breaks them, they leave. Report problems immediately. Understood. Yes, sir. He nodded once and walked out. No comforting words, yet his swift action spoke volumes. Aftermath. Later, in the staff kitchen, some whispered that Tiffany had overreacted. Others praised her courage. Mr. Granger brought her mint tea. You protected yourself and the rest of us, he said. Bullies rely on silence. Tiffany sipped the warm tea, feeling the tremor in her hand settle. She texted Helen again. Faced trouble, stood firm. Still safe. That night, as she turned down corridor lamps, Tiffany realized the mansion no longer felt like a maze of marble and shadows. It was a workplace, the first rung on her ladder. The floors still gleamed, but now they also glowed with the knowledge that her voice mattered here. Before sleep, she opened her small notebook and wrote, Day 12, respect is polished by courage, then closed her eyes, hopeful for dawn. Friendship turned nightmare. Sasha Green arrived at Reynolds Estate 2 weeks after Tiffany. She was all bright smiles, neon pink nails, and a laugh that filled the marble hallways. First day, she asked, balancing a tray of crystal glasses on her hip. Tiffany nodded. I still forget which corridor leads to the sunroom. Stick with me, Sasha winked. I'll be your compass. For a month, they were inseparable. They split midnight jollof in the pantry, swapped ironing tips, and giggled about the gardener who sang off-key love songs. When Tiffany sent half her salary to Helen, Sasha applauded. You're a saint, girl. But saintliness brewed envy. Early warning signs whispered through tiny moments. A missing spoon blamed on the dishwasher boy. A perfume bottle that must have rolled under the couch. Tiffany dismissed them. Kind hearts often excuse darkness. One Friday, Mr. Reynolds hosted a charity poker night for global tycoons. His most prized possession, an engraved Audemars Piguet worth 200 million Nigerian nairas, sat in a velvet box, destined as a raffle prize. After the guests left, Sasha cornered Tiffany in the linen closet. Boss wants the watch cleaned before courier pickup. Can you grab it? Sure, Tiffany said, trusting. While Tiffany fetched polish, Sasha plucked the watch, slipped it into a microfiber pouch, and rushed to the laundry room. There she tucked the pouch deep inside Tiffany's spare apron pocket, then sauntered to security. Sir, she sounded breathless. The charity watch is gone. Alarms blared. Guards searched every staff locker. Tiffany, wide-eyed, produced her apron, and the watch thudded onto the table. I don't understand, she stammered. Mr. Reynolds stormed in, face granite. I expected more from you, he hissed. You're dismissed. Leave before I call the police. Sasha stood behind him, hand over heart, fake tears glittering. Tiffany turned to her, voice cracking. You know I didn't. Sasha merely shook her head, sympathy painted across a lying smile. In 10 minutes, Tiffany's badge was deactivated and her small suitcase tossed outside the mansion gate. Not even the night guard dared meet her eyes. Falling deeper, rock bottom, rain greeted her like cold needles. Back at the compound, Tiffany found Mr. Edwards waiting, ledger in hand. 2 months rent due, he grunted. I was fired tonight. I'll pay once I find work. He leaned closer, breath sour with gin. There's another arrangement. No cash required. His hand grazed her arm. Tiffany stepped back. Sir, please respect yourself. The landlord's smile vanished. Pack up. Now. He hurled her duffel over the balcony. It burst on the ground, clothes splashing into a muddy puddle. With nowhere to go, Tiffany trudged to the underpass near Eco Bridge. Streetlights flickered. The smell of exhaust clung to the air. She laid cardboard flat, clutching Helen's Bible under her head. Montage of misery filled the next weeks. Rainwater dripping through gaps, soaking her thin sweater. Hunger cramps eased only by sipping sachet water. Drivers shouting, lazy youth, when she offered to wipe windscreens for coins. Each dawn she washed at a public tap, braided her hair neatly, and whispered, Mama, I won't break. To survive, she bought a stack of newspapers on credit. Standing by traffic, she called out headlines with gentle courtesy. Good morning, sir. Today's business news? Some ignored her. Others sneered, should have kept that fancy watch. Still, she bowed slightly each time, refusing to let bitterness write her story. The unlikely savior. One humid afternoon, a man in plain chinos and sneakers stopped beside her. 2 papers, please, he said softly. Tiffany handed them over, adding, thank you for supporting honest work. He noticed her careful diction, the way she folded the corners to keep them crisp. May I ask, what did you study? I finished secondary school, top of my class. Couldn't afford university. Yet you speak like a lecturer, he mused. A beat of silence passed. Horns blared. Rain threatened. My name's Dan, he continued. I run a small online store. I need help listing products, but my internet skills are prehistoric. Think you can guide me? Tiffany blinked. If you have a phone, I can try. They crossed to a roadside cafe with a single functioning computer. Dan slid a dusty laptop forward. Create a mock page. Use any item you see around. Tiffany's fingers flew. Title, description, price, shipping weight, SEO tags. In 15 minutes, she built a clean listing for vintage brass kettle, complete with keywords, rustic decor, tea lover gift, Lego seller. Dan whistled. Impressive. Last test. Write a 140-character ad that makes me click buy. She typed, brew nostalgia, on a timeless brass kettle handcrafted to echo Grandma's kitchen. Limited pieces, claim yours today. He hit enter, leaned back, and smiled as bids appeared in real time from a local buy and sell forum. Final question, he said. Why help a stranger for nothing but coffee? Tiffany shrugged. Someone helped me once when I was lost in the rain. Kindness is a chain. Break one link and it rusts. Dan closed the laptop. You passed. Passed what exactly? He extended a business card, embossed, subtle. Daniel Blake, CEO, Blake Ventures. Tiffany's eyes widened. She remembered seeing his name on roadside billboards for a fintech app. I dress simply to meet real people, he explained. Let me sponsor your growth. Housing, meals, a stipend, and daily lessons in e-commerce and digital marketing. Her throat tightened. Why me? Because you sold me 2 newspapers with dignity. Skill can be taught. Character appears under pressure. Mentorship begins. Daniel's chauffeur dropped Tiffany at a serviced apartment that same night. She stared at the queen-size bed, whispered, "Thank you, God," then called Helen. "Mama, I'm safe. A good man is giving me a chance." Helen cried, joyful tears, repeating, "Grace found you, my child." Next morning, Daniel introduced her to his lean team. Ada, branding guru, Yemi, analytics nerd, and Carl, logistics wizard. "Everyone, this is Tiffany, our new trainee." Ada grinned. "We've read your story. Ready to turn lemons into million-naira lemonade." They handed Tiffany a thick binder titled E-commerce Bootcamp. Modules covered product sourcing, supply chain negotiation, influencer outreach, and, her favorite, storytelling marketing. Nights, she watched tutorials. Days, she shadowed meetings. When Daniel quizzed her, she fired back with charts and customer avatars. 6 weeks in, she pitched an idea. Handmade accessories from women in poor neighborhoods. We sell online, pay artisans fair wages, and brand each item with its maker story. Daniel tapped the table. Name of the project? Bridge and Beyond, because bridges once sheltered me. Now they'll launch others beyond poverty. He approved seed capital of 20 million Nigerian nairas. Viral spark. Tiffany filmed a 60-second video under Eco Bridge. She held a beaded clutch, camera tight, on her earnest face. "I slept here right on this concrete. Today I stand, not to beg, but to sell hope stitched by hands just like mine." The clip rocketed across TikTok and Instagram. Orders surged, 10,000 in 24 hours. Influencers unboxed Bridge and Beyond products, praising luxury with a conscience. BBC Africa requested an interview. During the live segment, the host asked, "How did you flip homelessness into entrepreneurship in 6 months?" Tiffany smiled. "Help people climb, and your own ladder appears." First millions. By month 3, revenue hit 120 million Nigerian nairas. Daniel gathered the team, popping non-alcoholic cider. To Tiffany, who turned a nightmare into a masterclass. She raised her glass. "To everyone still under a bridge tonight, your sunrise is loading." Confronting the past, Tiffany returned to Reynolds' estate, this time in a company van with Bridge and Beyond decals. Security tried to wave her off, but Mr. Reynolds saw from the balcony and hurried down. "I wronged you," he admitted, handshake trembling. Sasha confessed after the police questioned her. "I'm ashamed." Tiffany inhaled, heartbeat steady. "I forgive you. Please, pay your staff better and install cameras everywhere. People steal when they feel unseen." Before leaving, she gifted him a beaded desk organizer made by a former housemaid. "The hand you ignore might craft your legacy," she said. Landlord shock. Next, she visited Mr. Edwards. Instead of anger, she presented a manila envelope, an eviction notice for him. I bought the building, she explained gently. Tenants will pay half the old rent. You may stay as caretaker with strict conduct guidelines, or leave. The man's jaw dropped. Why not throw me on the street the way I did you? Because vengeance is expensive, she answered, and my budget funds mercy. Close of chapter. 6 months after selling newspapers in the rain, Tiffany stood on a TEDx stage wearing a simple white jumpsuit, diamond bracelet replaced by a woven anklet from her artisans. My story isn't about a wristwatch or a sports car, she told the crowd. It's about choices. The choice to stay kind when life is cruel, to learn when others label you unteachable, and to build bridges instead of burning them. Daniel watched from the front row, pride shining in his eyes. Back home, Helen sat in a newly painted living room with a blue roof overhead. Whispering, she kept her promise. Outside, kids scrolled on their phones, eyes wide at the headline trending worldwide. From bridge to billionaire, the girl who sold hope. And somewhere under the very bridge that once cradled her tears, a young hawker press play, listened to Tiffany's voice, and believed that cardboard beds could turn into boardrooms, if only kindness stayed alive through the storm. Rise to riches. Tiffany Carter never meant to become a star. One minute she was giving a TEDx talk in a rented hall. The next, clips of her speech popped up on every African news page. A single phrase, kindness is the only wealth that survives a storm, became a ringtone, a meme, even a t-shirt slogan. Within 72 hours, the hashtag Bridge to Billionaire trended across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Going viral. Ma'am, your follower count just passed 5 million, Ada said, spinning her laptop toward Tiffany. Tiffany stared at the number, wide-eyed. 5 million what? People, Ada laughed. Real people. They want to know what you eat for breakfast. I still eat Acra and Pap, Tiffany replied, scratching her head. Is that news? Ada nodded. To the world, yes. Ordinary is the new luxury. That evening, Daniel Blake called a meeting. He spoke with the calm of a seasoned sailor, but even he could not hide his grin. Bridge and Beyond store traffic jumped 800% in 24 hours, he announced. We have 2 choices, collapse under success or build a stronger bridge. Tiffany took a breath. Then let's build. But we must keep it honest. Same fair wages, same quality. Carl, the logistics wizard, raised a hand. To keep pace, we need 2 new warehouses and a bigger delivery fleet. Do it, Tiffany said. She glanced at Daniel. We promised our artisans security. Growth that forgets its source is cancer. Daniel nodded. Spoken like a CEO. First big purchases. 3 months later, Bridge and Beyond cleared its first billion-naira quarter. Board members expected champagne corks and corporate confetti, but Tiffany surprised everyone. Let's start with bonuses for every worker, she said, and by each artisan a modern sewing machine. Daniel clapped. And for you? Nothing. Tiffany shrugged. One treat. They say your first big buy should be a memory. She chose a Lamborghini Huracan, metallic gold, the exact shade of dawn she had watched so many mornings under Eco Bridge. At the dealership, she let her fingers glide over the hood. Feels unreal, she whispered. The salesman smiled. She will purr like a tiger. I hope she sings, Tiffany laughed. Tigers frighten me. Next came a modest beach house on a lash island. White walls, cobalt shutters, and a balcony facing the Atlantic. Nothing too grand. Tiffany wanted ocean air, not marble columns. She planned to spend weekends there, reading and drafting outreach proposals. Still, the tabloids went wild. Homeless maid buys paradise. Paparazzi drones buzzed above her roof like flies. Yemi, the analytics expert, shook his head. That headline leaves out 20 hours of hard work per day. Let them talk, Tiffany answered. I know my truth, and my truth wakes up early. The charity fund. Despite the frenzy, Tiffany felt a knot in her chest whenever she thought of the children still sleeping beneath bridges. So she launched the Helen Carter Hope Fund, named after the woman who saved her. At the press conference, she spoke plainly. I don't want my Lamborghini to outshine hungry stomachs. Every sale at Bridge and Beyond will send 10% to homeless children. A skeptical reporter raised his hand. Miss Carter, charity projects often disappear after the cameras fade. How will you keep this alive? Tiffany replied, with transparency. Monthly dashboards will show every naira, where it comes from, where it goes. If a single coin vanishes, I will resign. The room went silent, then exploded in applause. Within weeks, the fund broke records. Nigerian naira 5.0 million pledged by influencers, celebrities, and everyday citizens. Children in makeshift shelters received new mattresses, hot meals, and colorful backpacks marked with a little bridge logo. One boy held his bag and said, "I will cross my own bridge someday." That sentence fueled Tiffany through countless late-night spreadsheets, balancing fame and heart. Yet fame is a two-edged sword. Fans camped outside the office seeking selfies. Brands begged her to endorse energy drinks and designer perfumes. Meanwhile, critics accused her of using poverty to profit. One morning, Daniel found her staring out the window, shoulders drooped. "Rough night?" he asked. "I read 5 nasty articles," she said. "They call me bridgefluencer, like my story is a marketing trick." Daniel slid a cup of lemon tea across the desk. "People throw stones when their arms are free. Yours are busy building." Tiffany managed a smile. "Still hurts." "Then upgrade the hurt into horsepower," he advised. "Every hater pushes you further." She exhaled. "You're right. Time to plan the homecoming." The what? The moment Mama sees all this with her own eyes. The homecoming. Planning to return. The idea was simple. Drive the Lamborghini back to Maple Street and surprise Helen Carter. Yet nothing about Tiffany's life was simple anymore. Security insisted on escorts. PR teams wanted exclusive footage. Neighbors asked if they could live stream. Tiffany gathered her core team in the conference room. "I want this to feel like family, not a parade," she said. "But if cameras appear, fine. Only if they highlight Maple Street's dignity, not poverty." Ada raised an eyebrow. "So no pity shots?" "Exactly. Show people strength." Carl added, "We'll need police clearance for traffic. Your street barely fits a sedan. The Lumbo might scrape walls." Tiffany laughed. "Then let the Lumbo crawl. Respect the road that raised me." The drive. On a bright Saturday morning, the gold Huracan purred toward the mainland, trailed by 2 discreet SUVs carrying security, medics, and a 3-person film crew hired by Tiffany herself. She wanted every frame under her control. Inside the Lamborghini, Daniel sat in the passenger seat. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified," she admitted. "I'd faced 10 board meetings over this." He chuckled. "Because it matters more." They crossed 3rd Mainland Bridge, breeze whipping Tiffany's braids under a silk scarf. Memories flooded back, selling newspapers in rain, clutching Helen's Bible like a shield. She gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. "You okay?" Daniel asked. "Just thinking how this bridge once felt like the roof of the world," she whispered. "Now I'm driving over it, not sleeping under it." "Life flips tables," he said gently. They exited into Surrelier, weaving through familiar streets until Maple Street emerged. One dusty lane flanked by kiosks, laundry lines, and children chasing chickens. The Lamborghini crawled, engine rumbling softly. Heads turned. A ball rolled under the bumper. Tiffany stopped, waved, and a boy dashed to pick it up. From the balcony of the old barber shop, Mr. Okoro shouted, "Nah, Tiffany be dis." Voices rose like a chorus. Phones appeared. Live streams began. Seeing Helen. Helen Carter sat on a wooden chair by her doorway, peeling oranges for neighbor kids. She squinted at the approaching spectacle, unsure if her eyes deceived her. When the car stopped and the scissor door lifted, Tiffany stepped out, wearing simple blue jeans and a white blouse. No jewelry except a woven bracelet from Bridge and beyond. "Mama," she called softly. Helen dropped the knife. "Tiffy, my Tiffy." Tiffany rushed forward. Mother and daughter collided in a hug, so tight the crowd around them fell silent. Helen's shoulders shook with sobs. "I prayed every night," Helen whispered. "God said you'd come back brighter, but this is daylight." Tiffany's own tears fell. "I kept the promise, blue roof coming. But first, let me say thank you." Camera shutters clicked, but neither woman cared. The neighborhood's joy. Neighbors formed a semicircle. Some clapped. Others simply stared, hands over mouths. Old Mrs. Becerre, who once lent Tiffany a maths textbook, wiped her eyes. "You see? See no day lie," she murmured. Kids chanted, #bridge to billionaire. A drone buzzed overhead, streaming the scene to thousands online. Tiffany raised a hand for quiet. "Please, 10 minutes of your patience." She stood on the hood of the Lamborghini. Carl winced, microphone in hand. "When I left this street, I carried your blessings," she began. "You fed me Acura, taught me math, and chased off bullies. Today I return with gifts, but remember, they're yours already. I only multiplied what you planted." She pointed toward an empty lot at the far end of Maple Street. A large banner unfurled. "Site of the Helen Carter Primary School, opening soon." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "And over there," Tiffany said, gesturing to an old clinic building, "Bridge and beyond will rebuild a medical center. Free care for kids under 12, subsidized for adults." Helen covered her mouth with both hands. "A school with my name?" Tiffany jumped down, placed the microphone in her mother's palm. "You speak, Mama." Helen trembled, but found her voice. "If you ever doubt love can lift the poor, look at my daughter. She is proof that a seed watered by kindness becomes a forest of blessing." Cheers erupted. Drummers, someone had fetched them, pounded rhythms. Neighbors danced in circles. TikTok exploded with live clips labeled the real Wakanda moment. Private mother-daughter time. Eventually, security guided the crowd toward free jollof and soft drinks served under a rented canopy. Tiffany slipped inside Helen's tiny room. Metal bed, faded curtains, but swept clean. They sat on the edge of the bed, both barefoot. Helen traced her daughter's bracelet. "You wear no diamonds?" Tiffany laughed. "I wear diamonds at events. Here, I wear home." Helen shook her head in wonder. People drove Lamborghinis past this lane before, but none slowed down. "You stopped. You came back." "I never left, Mama," Tiffany said. "My heartbeat stayed on this street." Helen's eyes softened. "What next, my child?" Tiffany inhaled. "I'll push the fund until no child sleeps under a bridge. I'll mentor girls in tech. And maybe rest at my beach house sometimes." Helen chuckled. Rest is also holy. Far outside, fireworks popped, someone's idea of celebration. The colorful bursts reflected on the aluminum window pane. The community celebration. They rejoined the street party. Black and white photos of Helen as a young woman, Tiffany had secretly gathered them, were strung across wires. A projector displayed a short film about Maple Street heroes, the hawker who paid a neighbor's hospital bill, the widower who tutored kids for free. The message was clear: greatness grows in hidden soil. A reporter asked Helen, "Madam, are you proud?" Helen smiled, tears glittering. "Pride is small. Gratitude is bigger." Another reporter chased Tiffany. "Miss Carter, any words for youth chasing fast money?" She looked straight into the camera. "Fast money shrinks hearts. Slow money stretches them. Stretch yours." The clip gathered 10 million likes overnight. Symbolic acts. At sunset, Tiffany led Helen to the Lamborghini. She placed the keys in her mother's hand. Helen gasped. "I can't drive this spaceship." "It's not for driving," Tiffany said, laughing. "It's collateral." "Collateral for what?" "Tomorrow a bulldozer clears that empty lot. The car will fund half the school construction. Investors cover the rest." Helen shook her head. "Give your car for bricks." "For mines," Tiffany corrected gently. "Bricks hold mines safe." Helen pulled her close. "You remain my little girl, but God stretch your spirit beyond the sky." A quiet walk. Later, after the crowd thinned, Tiffany and Daniel strolled along the lane lit by string lights. Small kids trailed behind, giggling. Daniel whispered, "Today you turned a luxury car into a cornerstone." "How do you feel?" "Like the bridge under my feet is finally complete," she replied. "You know the internet will explode again tomorrow." She shrugged. "Let it. My job is truth, not trend." Daniel smiled. "I wanted to give you something." He handed her a slim folder. Inside lay architectural drawings of a multi-story tech hub labeled Tiffany Carter Innovation Center. Site, Elash Island, next to her beach house. "I bought the adjacent plot," he said. "You said tech communities lift economies." Let's build one. Tiffany's eyes glistened. Daniel, this is colossal. Colossal is your specialty, he teased. She nudged his shoulder. We build it, but after the school and clinic. Bridges first, towers later. Deal. They sealed it with a firm handshake. Then both burst into laughter when a child shouted, Auntie Tiff, please hire me. Come back when you finish primary school, she called. Nightfall and reflection. The party wound down. Neighbors returned home with leftover cake and tales to tell. Helen, exhausted yet glowing, hugged her daughter goodnight. As Tiffany prepared to leave, she climbed onto the Lamborghini one last time. The metallic paint mirrored the streetlights like liquid gold. She patted the hood. Thank you for the ride, friend. Tomorrow you become notebooks and stethoscopes. Then she slipped into the back seat of an SUV. The Lambo stayed behind, ready for auction inspectors at dawn. Inside the car, Daniel glanced over. All set. Yes, she said, leaning back. I came home rich in love. I'm leaving richer. The SUV rolled away. Through the window, she watched Maple Street shrink, but the glow in her chest grew brighter. Coda, 6 months later. 6 months passed like a heartbeat. Helen Carter Primary School stood tall, fresh yellow paint, blue roof, and a mural of children crossing a bridge into sunlight. Opening day drew officials, journalists, and of course Helen, who cut the ribbon with shaking hands. At the ceremony, a little girl named Teo read a poem. You took the bridge that caught your tears and turned it into stairs for us. Now we will climb beyond our fears. Your kindness is our compass. Tiffany wiped her eyes. She thought of cardboard beds, of rain that stung, of betrayal and mercy intertwined. She looked at Daniel, at her team, at Helen smiling beside the headmistress. Every scar on her journey now felt like a completed stitch in a vast tapestry. Reporters gathered one last time. Miss Carter, can you sum up your story in a sentence for the world? Tiffany inhaled the scent of fresh paint and hibiscus. My story is simple, she said. Build bridges where others burn them. One day you'll walk across and find the world waiting with open arms. The cameras clicked. Lights flashed. But beyond all the noise, children's laughter echoed through brand new hallways. Proof that kindness, once planted, grows taller than any spotlight.